Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. Hello. Welcome to hour number 4 of the line. Deep South Construction Pros are bringing you this part of the show. By the way, I got a hey now out in the hallway from what I assume is our AC guys, part of the AC crew. He just stopped me and he goes, hey now. I like when we have like contractors or whatever come in the building, and when they when they see me, they go, hey. Sometimes our snack people will do that. They'll be like, hey now. Our bug guy, what was his name? I can't remember. Our Cook's Pest Control guy, he's like, hey now, every time I see him. Is it Brian? What was his name?
Yeah, that's it. Brian the Bug Guy.
Brian the Bug Guy. I like it. Deep South Construction Pros, speaking of good companies, speaking of great companies, Deep South Construction Pros, absolutely fantastic. Rain's been coming and going over the past few days, and thank goodness it's helped cool things off a little bit. But you, and I'm talking to you. If you don't think I'm talking to you, no, I'm talking to you. If you got a basement or a crawl space, and you likely do, unless you live on cinder blocks, you got to protect that basement and crawl space. And it's not something you think about. You don't go down there and look at your crawl space. You may go down in your basement, but you just think, it's a basement. It just does basement stuff. You've got a real issue that could potentially happen. And for some of y'all, it's already happening. And that is water seeping into and under your house. And when that happens, that causes a lot of problems, potentially foundation problems, but also mold and mildew and just stuff that's going to be very detrimental, not just to your belongings. It can, if you got a bunch of stuff stored in your basement, it could be detrimental to your belongings. It could, you may have stuff that you've collected over the years that you really are really important to you, have a lot of sentimental value. That stuff could get ruined, but also, and more importantly so, the health of you and your family. Because, and I'm not exaggerating about this, if you have a problem and it persists, eventually black mold at that, is going to start growing in your basement, and then it's going to get in your vents, and you're going to be breathing it in. And there are some real horror stories out there for people and their health and the health of their family due to mold. And it's one of those things you don't know about. You don't really smell it. You don't. In some cases, it's kind of hidden and you don't see it, and you don't know that you got it until you get an expert out there to scope it out and see whether or not you've got mold. But the way to prevent it from happening in the first place is to get that waterproofing. Get the basement waterproofing and the crawl space encapsulation. Not only that, but it looks nice. It really does. So call Deep South Construction Pros about that. If you got things like irrigation problems, which is causing some of this, they can help you with all kinds of stuff, man. They really do a lot of things. So if it's got to do with maintenance on your home, reach out to them. Don't be afraid to ask them any question you got. They'll be more than happy to help you out. These are good guys right here in Alabama. Proud to be from Alabama. Proud to invest back into our economy. And I'm glad to be partnered with them. So here's the phone number, 256-305-1854. That's 256-305-1854. Online, deepsouthconstructionpros.com. Easy to remember, deepsouthconstructionpros.com. And I want to make a quick point based on the economy. We just mentioned the economy. Mike Rowe just went on, Mike Rowe, the Dirty Jobs guy. He just went on the Sean Ryan podcast. I think he might be doing a media tour. I don't know if he's got some project coming up or whatever. But he was talking about how he visited a Texas data center. And while there, he met, I think he said, 3 different electricians who were under 30 years old, making north of $240,000 a year. Know what you think about that? $240,000 a year. That's $10K a month. No, that's $20K a month. Imagine $20K a month. You're making $240,000, right? All three of them, he says, have been poached three times. And it may not be three electricians. It may be, I don't know. I don't know if he said how many electricians there were. But he said that it is three of them. Okay, so he said all three of them had been poached three times in the last 18 months because demand for electricians is so high. And by poached, I mean companies are coming to them and saying, please come work for us. We will pay you $240,000 a year. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. He said, I was in Plano, Texas, got a tour of a data center. I ran into three electricians, all under 30, all making north of 240 grand a year, and they were all debt free. No debt. He said, now here's the craziest part. All three had been poached three times in the prior 18 months. The shortages are so acute that the companies don't have time to train. They have to poach these electricians from other companies. He said, it's great news for an electrician, but it's a little weird for the economy overall. So there is a demand, and I actually sent this video clip to my kid, who, as you know, will be graduating high school in a couple of years. I said, that's crazy. Now, of course, not every electrician is going to make $240,000, but I think there is and has been a big downturn in some of those sects of the economy. In plumbers. And listen, some of y'all are in that business and maybe you know something I don't know. And of course it's going to vary city to city, state to state, but plumbers, electricians, HVAC people, I think compared to where maybe we used to be, that we've got a lot less of those people and a lot less of those workers than we once had. And because of that, those jobs become much more valuable. And companies have to pay them a lot more because, as you hear in this case, they don't have the time or even the ability to train an electrician. They need somebody that's already trained, that already knows what they're doing, that can come in on day one and hit the ground running. Y'all, we need to be talking to our kids about this, because as I'm looking at people that are in their 40s and 50s paying for student loan debt, I'm like, what for what? For what? What and these people, and there's a lot of them, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not, just it's the way life worked out, okay? I'm not blaming anybody for this. But in retrospect, you got to say to yourself, what was that for? How did that benefit me? And so for those of us that have kids that are in high school in particular, but maybe even younger than that, I think it's time to start talking to them about, hey, there's no need to go to college. Of course, if you want to be a doctor or an attorney, it's a different story. But maybe it's time to tell our kids, hey, if you're not sure what you want to do, don't go to college to figure it out. Learn a trade. Find something that you feel like you would enjoy doing long term. And you can build, you can work your way through in a couple of decades. Or by the time you're in your 50s, you're ready to retire, if not earlier than that. And if you want to keep working, you can build wealth for your children. You can turn around and invest that money simply because you made the right decision. I think the problem lies in what people view as the norm. And I call it propaganda, call it, uh, just, I don't know, just maybe there's a bigger conspiracy to this and it was injected into people's minds that the only way to be successful is to go to college and that big money and big universities were behind this. I don't know. That's where my conspiracy brain goes. And maybe it's true. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe Democrats were involved and said, "Hey, we want people going to college. We need to make sure people understand that going to college is kind of a necessity because not only does it make money for the universities, but we've got all these liberal professors that can propagandize these young minds." But we got to tell our kids, like, there's a whole big world out there with a lot of money that can make you very, very comfortable. That, yeah, maybe it's going to be hard work, but as you're in high school right now, you've got opportunities to learn a trade where you could get out of high school and instead of having to borrow $40,000 to go to school, you could start working the day after you graduate and be making more than a lot of people. You could be 18, and I'll even mention John Bird's kid. I mean, this kid is young, and he got out there, and now he went to college, but he knew what he wanted to do, and he got out there, and he's got him a good job right now.
Yeah, right out of the bat.
And so the aspect of having a plan is first and foremost. And he's also concentrated, and this is what a lot of people don't do. He's concentrated on paying off that debt before he sits there and moves on with his life and buying homes.
He's paying
and
over. I
everything
found
else.
out last night he's paying over $1,000 a month. So he's trying to hit that hard.
He's doing it the right way, but most people don't. Is what I'm trying to say. And there are so many opportunities out there for kids that are getting out of high school right now, and the economy can change, right? Things change over time, but for right now and over the next 10, 20, even 30 years, it's going to take a while before the rest of society catches on that college isn't the way. If you go look at the median income, I think I saw this morning. It was the median income for people with particular degrees, like a bachelor's degree, right? Median income for somebody with a bachelor's degree was like $60,000, $65,000, which is, a livable wage, but it's not a lot of money. And then you get into people with a master's degree. Well, the median income for a master's degree is not even six figures. It's like $85,000, $90,000, $95,000. Again, decent money. But there are a lot of other people out here making six figures that never stepped foot on a college campus. And you know how much debt they got? At least student loan debt they got? Zero. And so if you go to college and then you come out, and whether you're working in the field, and I think the reason that median income sits where it sits is because so many people get a degree in something that they never go do. That $60,000 or even that $80,000 is not that much when you look at what debt you got. And the fact that you got to continually pay on your debt. So, I didn't mean to go into it. I didn't even plan on talking about that. I just saw that clip from Mike Rowe, and I'm like, dude, y'all got to talk to them kids. Tell them to learn a trade. Tell them to get out there, grab the world by the balls, because America is the land of opportunity. Let me tell you about Mandu. Let me tell you about Mandu. Yeah. Mandu.com, Manduu.com. Love me some Mandu. I tell you, Paul, who's the owner of Mandu, I talk to him almost every day. We talk a lot of politics. We share a lot of X posts back and forth. I'm actually in a group chat with him where we just share stuff all the time. He's a good dude, man. Loves America. Mandu loves America. Loves our president, and just a freedom loving company. That's how I describe Mandu. And I just can't say enough good things about him. So just on the top, think about supporting small business and small business that loves America, loves what we stand for, loves what this president's doing, and check out Mandu. I'm giving you a free session. I'm literally letting you try it for free. So why wouldn't you do it? If anything, just to show support, go try it out. Go get you a free session. You can either call them, or if you don't feel like calling them, then you can set it up online. Just go to Mandu.com, MANDUU.com. The 15-minute Mandu electrical muscle stimulation workout. That's the fancy way of saying it. I like to just call it getting fit. So go to the website, MANDUU.com, Mandu.com. If you want to get in touch with the Birmingham location, which is the one I always go to, it's 205-438-6003, 438-6003. But remember, you got Huntsville, you got Tuscaloosa. You can go to any of those. And even if you sign up at one and you want to go to the other, or you want to mix and match, however you want to do it, man, it's all for you right there, baby. Mandu.com. Let me, Bubba, I got a couple minutes. Let me squeeze you in real quick. What's up, buddy?
Andrew Mandu in the house.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I wasn't even going to call today, but you started talking about something I'm passionate about with this trade work pays the bills thing with Mike Rowe, and I must concur. That is a much better path in life than going to the indoctrination facility to get your degree in woke colleges that you're never making any real money off of.
Mm-hmm.
And why not start making money when you're 18, 19 instead? And those electrician guys, that's a common story. You know what I mean? Like, I have been a trade worker my whole life. I'm 456 and eyeballing retiring to a certain level at this point. I don't want to retire fully. I don't ever want to be the guy that doesn't have anything to do. But I've been self-employed for decades now, and I've always had food on my table, and I'm debt-free. I've got vehicles. My properties are paid off, and I'm not bragging. I'm just trying to encourage people, if anybody's on the fence about whether their youngsters ought to learn a trade versus going to the indoctrination facilities known as college, steer them into trade work, because dirty hands make clean money.
That's right. That's right. Like the meme says, my hands look like this, so her hands can look like this.
That's right. And I heard you talking about Master Payton contemplating getting an HVAC certificate. I'm telling you, in these warmer southern states, like where I'm here in Arizona and over where y'all are at, he could be in that same boat as those electrician dudes and have his own successful business when he's still in his 20s and have his house paid for. You know, I did a lot of years building houses. And all these people that have their degrees and stuff, like you're saying, a master's degree doesn't even pay as good as a general contractor does. And all these people with their degrees like to mock stinky trade workers and stuff. But, you know, when they ain't mocking them, when they get the bill from the plumber, when they get the bill from the electrician, and when they get the bill from the contractor for building their house.
Mm-hmm. You're exactly right, man. It's out there, man. People just need to grab it. And again,
I just came up with a genius idea. I've got to say it before I forget it. It just came to me. And you know what else you can do? Bubba Rumble, you know what else you can do? You can go to a local community college, take a couple of business courses to help you run your business.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. No money.
Well, no, that's a smart idea. And, you know, a lot of the contractors I worked for as a younger guy, it was a family. I grew up in an electrical contracting family, but oftentimes their wife is the bookkeeper. Like, she don't even have to get a real job. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways you can make it work for your entire family, including training the young bucks, taking care of the wife. And, you know, there's a lot of things about it, you know. And so, you know, and then the wife can still go make sandwiches and pies. You know.
That's right.
But anyway, I'm glad to hear that. Mike Rose, a friend of the trade workers, and you know, I mean, it's just like it's almost like a psyop from a certain segment of our society to just blaspheme trade workers and make fun of them, and you can't be successful without a college degree. But like I said, the people with the college degrees got to shell out big money to the stinky trade workers when they need to get their work done because they don't know how to do anything. They're one-trick ponies. They got their degree in basket weaving, locology, or whatever.
That's
and
right.
That's just narrow career path.
That's exactly right. All right, Bubba. Thanks, buddy.
Wheel of Segments coming. I'm out. Hey now.
Hey now. Well, he's right, too. We got a Wheel of Segments coming up right after this. Hang tight.